was smart, you was kind, you was important. The text that enhances my knowledge of belonging is the film The Help, written by Catherine Stockett and directed by Kate Taylor and released in 2011. The Help is an inspirational text that explores the concepts of belonging through the friendship of three very different women. Set in Jackson, Mississippi in the 1960s, it explores racism, society's rules, and the ability to create change through the writing of an inspirational book. It is seen mainly through the eyes of Aibileen, an African-American woman. Text can enhance an audience's understanding of belonging and how meaning is created visually through a variety of different techniques. The film The Help is an example of how a text explores the concepts of belonging. A sense of belonging can emerge from the connections made with people, places, groups, communities, and the larger world. The concept of not belonging can emerge from rejection, alienation, and isolation. The film The Help encapsulates both these concepts. Firstly, there is the connection of belonging seen in the scene when all the African American women are presented in Abileen's lounge room, waiting for Skeeter to interview them, representing how they support each other, striving for unity and a sense of belonging. Aibileen is a middle-aged housemaid who has spent her whole life looking after white babies, and she is presented throughout the film as the main character that influences and instigates change within the others. Another main character is Skeeter. Skeeter is the catalyst throughout the film. She's shown throughout the film as the character that tends to challenge the society that she belongs to. This is shown not only when she rebels against Hilly, but when she rebels against her parents when she discovers they fired the maid that raised her. The first scene demonstrates the unity between a community, representing how even though they know they're going against society's wishes, they have to band together in order to change the wrongdoing of others. The arrest of a fellow maid forces the women of the black community to strive for unity and a sense of purpose. The meaning is created through the eye-level shot of the congregation. This allows the viewer to emphasize with other characters' journeys, listening to their stories and the rare opportunities where they felt they belonged. Now, here they are united in their struggle against white society that strives to marginalize them. The constant switch between Skeeter's reaction and the women gives the viewer a perspective and allows the viewer a sense of connection of belonging through people, groups, and communities. The costumes also show a sense of belonging as all the women are in their maid uniforms, showing that they are marginalized. However, the uniforms also show that they are representing unity in the inner community. The use of soft, suggestive music allows the viewer to sympathize with the black women. The effect gives the viewer a large understanding of belonging as it demonstrates how their society may not get along, yet they put their differences aside and unite to rebel against society's wishes. The contrast between black and white society is represented visually through the use of color. The black community is constantly shown at night with dim minimal lighting, and the women are constantly shown in their drab grey work clothes. The white community, however, is seen mainly during the day in flowery dresses bursting with colour, mainly reds, oranges and yellows, allowing the viewer to feel happy and optimistic as well as hopeful. Their houses are also shown bursting with colour to illustrate that at that point in time the whites have a rosy future, prosperity and hope. Whereas the coloured homes are bare, very simple, drab and dreary, indicative of the lack of hope, the sadness and the world weariness that spread throughout the black homes. The contrast of colour and lifestyle illustrates the dominance of white society and the inferiority of the black society. An important part of the film deals with the concept of not belonging, which is the argument between Hilly, the leader of the white community and the main instigator of the discrimination between each community, and Aibileen. They start to argue over a theft. However, as the argument continues, the viewer notices Hilly starting to believe that Aibileen is the main instigator behind the book. This scene between Hilly and Aibileen shows how even though the black community does not feel like they belong yet, they do believe that change is near. A further example of not belonging is how Aibileen constantly feels isolated as she is just seen as a housemaid. However, as she leaves, Elizabeth and her daughter start to cry, demonstrating how even though they didn't realize it, they accepted Aibileen into their lives. She is more than a housemaid to them. The camera angle makes Aibileen look small and Hilly look more dominating as the argument starts, demonstrating the power of the strong over the weak. However, as the argument continues, the camera angle changes from the high-angled shot that made Aibileen look small and insignificant to a low-angle shot that makes Aibileen look more dominant and in control. It allows the viewer to see the contrast and change of roles. The use of repetition of the saying, "You is kind," "You is smart," "You is important," demonstrates the impact that Aibileen had on the young girl. The use of silence allows the viewer to see the seriousness and the effects of Aibileen's actions. Silence allows the viewer to have their own feelings towards the argument, not to pick sides or depict who is right or wrong, but to see how belonging or not belonging can have a great effect on the rest of someone's life. The argument illustrated that for Aibileen, walking out meant starting a new life and facing all sorts of challenges. This shows that not belonging can force someone to leave and feel free. Belonging or not belonging determines the journey one takes. Each concept is shown throughout the film The Help and allows the viewer to travel through many lives and experience change, friendship and acceptance. We are visually led to find an understanding of the characters and their struggles to seek to belong. The final scene as Aibileen walks through town demonstrates change and the final stages of her old life and the beginning of her new life. This helps to demonstrate the journey and the completion of each of the characters' journeys. This ending demonstrates belonging. The end!
Yes.